would.
Getting ready to go shopping.
And the one able to see possibility in anything it touches. Able to teach. And able to learn. The tool that holds every other. Through which we express what's in our minds. Our hearts. And our imagination. Each hand able to shape and be shaped by the things you make. How can you leave your fingerprints on this world and earn any calluses along the way? The tool you use to hold up the finished product and say, look what I made.
Running a medical institution isn't easy, as these scans of CFOs, CIOs, and C yada yadas can attest. This one used to be me. That was before I was on Heidi. Now, I'm in chaotic medical institution condition remission.
Looking good, Steve.
Oh, feeling good, Louise.
Using Heidi may cause a spike in efficiency and job satisfaction. In some cases, atypical and lasting loyalty to whoever got you onto Heidi. Some users experience a complete resolution of interdepartmental hostility and an acutely heightened sense of being awesome.
If side effects persist, you're welcome.
Other side effects may include relief from painful admin, using epic as an adjective, enlarged career satisfaction, reduced stress, and being able to be present for every patient. Ask your CIO, CTO, or CMO if Heidi is right for you.
Lauren Key loved singing, playing with dolls, and dancing. She was a typical 4-year-old girly girl.
I always liked the name Lauren, so when she was born, I looked into her baby blue eyes and just knew the name was perfect for her.
Describe her and her personality.
It was just contagious. She was very happy.
But Sarah Key Marr, Lauren's mother, says there was something that tortured her smiling daughter every day. Lauren was the highly coveted centerpiece in a nasty tug-of-war between her mother and father.
Who's her father?
Cameron Brown.
Cameron Brown, a rugged outdoorsman who liked to ski, surf, and run marathons. He was often seen tooling around ritzy Newport Beach, California, in a souped-up army truck similar to this one.
So how'd you meet Cameron?
We met in Newport Beach at a jazz bar.
And you started a relationship from there.
Yes.
Brown was an airport baggage handler, his job hurling 50-pound pieces of luggage on and off airplanes. And before long, he'd also swept the British Rose off her feet, whisking Sarah away on vacations. But just a few months later, their whirlwind romance comes to a crashing stop. When Sarah finds out she's pregnant.
Did he have any interest in the baby?
He chose not to be part of the pregnancy.
Did he want you to keep the baby?
He'd expressed that he did not.
Brown finally appears to embrace his impending fatherhood, but then something inside him snaps.
And then what happened?
He started pressuring her to have an abortion. When she refused to do that, he threatened to have her deported.
Deputy District Attorney Craig Hum says Brown even tries to have Sarah fired from her job when she refuses to end the pregnancy.
When that didn't work, he just cut off all contact with her and had absolutely no contact with her at all.
By the time little Lauren is born, Brown is completely out of the picture.
For the first few years of her life, he wasn't part of her life, but that was his choice.
Did he ever ask to meet her?
No, he did not.
It's not like he lived that far away from his daughter that he couldn't have seen her if he wanted to.
Sarah wanted there to be some kind of a relationship, so there was nothing preventing him from having a relationship with Lauren.
Sarah's raising Lauren on her own, but eventually the financial toll overwhelms the single mom.
Sarah was just having difficulty making ends meet, and so what she did was she filed a petition for child support, and he was ordered to pay child support.
One of Brown's co-workers at the airport says the absentee dad constantly complained about the hefty payments.
He was paying $1,000 a month in child support, which was about 40 to 50% of his income.
And that's when Brown reportedly comes up with a devious plan.
He told one of his friends, I heard that in order to get your child support reduced, you have to request visitation, and so that's what I'm going to do. His initial request was for 33% custody and joint legal custody, and he never even met Lauren.
Wow. Sarah says she was nervous, but Lauren, now 3 years old, couldn't wait to finally spend time with her dad.
I think initially Lauren was excited to meet her father.
The first few visits went okay. They were supervised by Sarah, but pretty quickly friction started to develop and there were issues.
Sarah tells me the happy-go-lucky little girl suddenly becomes troubled and withdrawn.
I would detect anxiety and tantrums that increased as the visits went along. She became very fearful and scared of things that she hadn't been before.
Did Lauren ever verbalize to you, no, I don't want to see Daddy, I don't like Daddy?
She had said that she did not want to go. She would hide under the bed. But the court order said that she had to go, and it broke my heart to have to let her go.
A few weeks before Thanksgiving, Brown arranges an afternoon visit with Lauren. Sarah says she's still haunted by what happened early that morning.
I had dropped her off at her preschool, and as I hugged her goodbye, I told her that her father was collecting her. She immediately started to cry and hold on to me. It was hard to separate. The teacher had to come out and pry her from me. I assured her everything would be fine. She was going to have a great afternoon. The last words I said to her was, I love you. And the last words she said back to me also were the same.
Throughout the morning, Sarah can't stop thinking about Lauren.
She called the school a couple of times to see how Lauren was doing. And the teachers told her that she was still upset, but she was doing okay.
In fact, the teacher tells her Lauren was too upset to eat her favorite lunch, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Sarah was so distraught about the impact that this visit was having on Lauren that she made the decision that even with the court order ordering visitation, she was just not going to let it happen that day.
So Sarah heads out to pick up Lauren at school, but it's too late. Brown's already there.
The teachers reported that she didn't want to go with her father. She was crying. He had to physically pick her up and carry her out of the preschool.
Brown drives Lauren to Palos Verdes, the seaside town just south of Los Angeles where he lived. He's planned a hiking trip with the 4-year-old up to a remote cliff in a secluded area called Inspiration Point.
Is this the kind of place that you would take a child?
No parent, no mom would take a 4-year-old child out there.
They make the nearly 1-mile trek to the cliff and end up sitting on this rocky ledge overlooking the ocean. While Lauren tosses rocks into the raging Pacific Ocean below, Brown says he looks away for a split second, and when he turns back, his little girl is gone.
He just saw her feet as she went over the cliff head first.
Something terrible has happened to precious little Lauren Key.
Lauren had slipped and fallen.
Deputy DA Craig Hum says during a court-ordered visitation, Lauren's father, Cameron Brown, takes the 4-year-old hiking nearly a mile up to Inspiration Point, high above the Pacific Ocean in Southern California.
The cliff wasn't just a straight drop into the ocean. There was a slope and there were projections of rock out from the top of the cliff.
Brown says Lauren ran the entire way to this rocky ledge. The father says he glanced away for a split second, and when he looked back, all he saw were Lauren's little feet going over the edge. A terrifying 120 feet drop straight down to the ocean.
He said he didn't see her when he looked over the edge of the cliff.
What did the father do? Did he call for help?
He ran down to a beach that was on the other side of the cliff, and he borrowed a cell phone to call 911.
My daughter's off call 30. Okay, sir. Are you near her? Can you see her from where you are? No, I don't know where I'm going to find her. I just not familiar with the phone. I called you first. Now I'm going to work.
Wait a minute. The father hasn't even checked on his little girl?
Rather than going to her body or to try and rescue her, he spent about 4.5 minutes talking to the 911 operator.
You'd think there would be panic or at least heartbreak in his voice. Not this dad.
Does he know where he is? Sunbathing Beach. Sunbathing Beach. Yeah, near the new Gators go. You guys don't want to get dressed. Sorry.
As one witness described it, it was like he was ordering a pizza. There was no emotion, and all the while, his daughter is floating face down in the ocean, and he's chatting on a cell phone and joking with the people at the beach.
Brown eventually makes his way down the shoreline in search of little Lauren. It's been nearly 15 minutes since she slipped and fell. He spots her lifeless body floating face down in the water.
Her little beautiful body was broken and battered, and it wasn't anything that any parent should ever have to see, or any parent would ever, in their worst nightmare, ever see.
So the initial investigation or the initial call came in as an accident.
Yes.
Los Angeles County homicide detectives Danny Smith and Jeffrey Leslie don't usually respond to accidents. But something about Brown's 911 call and the location of Lauren's fall was troubling.
There's no way that a kid should be out on that cliff. I've been out on that cliff.
On a hunch, the detectives head to Inspiration Point to speak to Cameron Brown.
I went to introduce myself to Mr. Brown, and I remember coming back to Danny and saying, I don't like this. I don't like it. It was so disconnected. It just didn't feel right.
I looked over at him and I said, "That's the dad." And someone said, "Yeah, that's him." And I was struck by the absolute poker face, lack of emotion, and very nonchalant.
Was he upset? Was he distraught? His child is dead.
No. He was more concerned about his surfboard on top of his car.
An hour away from Inspiration Point, Sarah Kimar and her new husband are worried their little Lauren is late coming home.
We decided to drive up to where her father lived, and we were on the phone to the police trying to find out if there was any accident, and we were directed to go to the nearest police station.
When the police told you to go to the police station, is that all you knew as you were driving over there?
That's all we knew. So when we got there, we were met by a detective. It was all quite a blur to me. They mentioned the word cliff, and there had been a death involved Lauren, but I couldn't piece everything together. I remember becoming hysterical. I was just cascading into this emotional pain. I just remember wailing, heaving, no words were coming out.
And as the police describe it, your reaction and father's reaction could not have been more different on that day.
I feel my reaction was what any parent, how they would react if they just heard the worst news of their life.
But Cameron Brown's behavior is getting more bizarre by the minute.
He showed no interest in what had happened. Instead, he wanted to know who had won the presidential election.
Maybe Brown was just in shock, but there was something the detectives, who were both fathers to kids Lauren's age, couldn't explain away. Why a father would take his 4-year-old to such a dangerous place.
When you saw the cliff, what did you think?
Interestingly, Jeff and I are both afraid of heights. He would only go so far, and I'd only go a little bit further, and we were still at least 30 feet from where Cameron said that he took his daughter and sat on the edge of this cliff.
So you as a dad, you look at this and you're saying, there's no way my 4-year-old's gonna walk this willingly.
No. We finally, we called our SEB, Special Enforcement Bureau, and said, you know, we need some people up here with rigged up and repelling gear.
So wait a minute, you needed a team with repelling gear to get to where he
says they were sitting?
Yes,
Because you couldn't walk out there.
we wouldn't walk out there.
You know, perspective is everything. Here's how it all happened. Cameron parked on the other side of that point. Then he walked up to the point, went around this entire horseshoe, and came up to this cliff with a 4-year-old who he said was leading the way. By this point, what are you suspecting?
I honestly didn't know. I'm just thinking it doesn't make sense.
Did you believe Cameron's version of what happened on that cliff?
It was very difficult to comprehend what he was saying is what happened. It was just such a bizarre death.
When the detectives finally get a glimpse at little Lauren's body, it's like a punch in the stomach.
She didn't have the injuries to support a slip and a fall.
She would have had scrape marks on her hands, on her arms, on her face, and she showed none of those injuries.
So what happened to little Lauren on that cliff?
She had to be propelled.
Cameron Brown says his sweet little daughter Lauren slipped from this cliff and accidentally fell to her death. But Los Angeles County Sheriff's Detective Jeff Leslie just can't let it go.
There are certain things that he says it just couldn't have happened that way.
And his partner, Detective Danny Smith, was equally suspicious.
Cameron was just a very odd guy.
But odd doesn't make you a killer.
It does not make you a killer, but we just really didn't have a warm and fuzzy feeling about the guy either.
Neither did the DA, who believed Cameron Brown murdered his innocent 4-year-old daughter in the cruelest way imaginable.
You think he just pushed her? You think he dropped her?
Based on the nature of her injuries and based on the force with which she would have had to have been thrown.
Had it even sunk in what had happened?
That she died at the hands of her own father was incomprehensible.
No one, especially Lauren's mom, Sarah, wanted to believe a dad would or could throw his own child to her death. But the evidence seemed to be overwhelming.
What was the forensic evidence?
They examined the edge of the cliff, they examined the dirt, the brush, the weeds, and there was just no scuff marks, there was no evidence of slipping or sliding or any disturbance along the edge.
The county coroner agreed, releasing a disturbing 32-page report ruling Lauren's death a homicide.
What were the injuries on her body that indicated to you that this was not an accident?
If Lauren had accidentally fallen and slipped, she would show significant sliding injuries, significant abrasions, because the cliff wasn't just a straight drop into the ocean. She showed none of those injuries, just one sudden impact, which was consistent with her being thrown clear of the edge of the cliff and landing on a single projection about 100 feet down before bouncing off the cliff and then going into the water.
But detectives Jeff Leslie and Danny Smith want to prove their theory beyond a reasonable doubt. So they bring in a team of experts in biomechanics to reenact the incident. They fill a box with 40 pounds of weights, about what 4-year-old Lauren weighed at the time of her death, and go back to Inspiration Point. They hurl the box about 10 feet, the distance they estimate Cameron Brown could toss his 40-pound daughter. Remember, he was an airport baggage handler who tossed 50-pound suitcases for a living. The results are chilling.
How do you suggest he threw her?
The defendant actually placed one hand near the top of Lauren's back and literally threw her off of the cliff so that she cleared the edge of the cliff, rotated from a head up to head down position, and struck the rock face first with her back away from the cliff and her face into the cliff.
The big question still needing an answer. Motive. Why would a dad kill his own flesh and blood?
The defendant and Lauren's mother, Sarah Kemar, didn't get along at all. Their child custody battle was very contentious.